Okay, so today I wanted to do a part two to that video I did on sex and gang stalking, but just a bit more coherent and things like that. Now that I've had some time to group my thoughts and things. So in the original video, I was talking about how it is that I became a victim of gang stalking and how it started off with the fact that, I was in another country and I had a peeping Tom incident. And that peeping Tom incident just kind of snowballed into just something so much more sinister and so much worse. Um, and yeah, but honestly, if I'm going to be really honest, it started even a bit before then, because that whole trip in itself was just, it was part of I only went on that trip because I was tricked into it. It was all part of the manipulation. It was all a farce. It was all, that shit. But something that I've noticed while being gang stalked and harassed and things like that is that it's just the amount of romantic just the amount of romantic energy, the infatuation that my handlers have had with me, and that whole thing. And I want to talk about just because victims of gang stalkings, they come from all walks of life, and a lot of us are women. And I was talking previously about what it's like to be to kind of like be romantically involved with your handler and things like that, because and it really also ties into just the larger things that are going on in this country right now. If you look at this country right now, what we have going on is a correction. And by correction, what I really mean is an adjustment. And the Great Adjustment, they're calling it the Great Reset, but what it really should be called is the Great Adjustment. And the Great Adjustment is this event where power is being shifted. Not only is power being shifted, they're trying to kind of usher in new faces for things like new faces and names for people that are running organizations, new faces and names. They're just trying to get in new blood, new faces, new. They're just trying to, just shift up the makeup of um of in the landscape of society. Um, and unfortunately, sometimes when you're having these shifts, or when the society's back in the day, whenever a society was going through like a major power shift, it was because some neighboring tribe kind of decided to take over that village. And um and when they and that's kind of how power shifted. Power was taken, and it still is today. So while we're having this power shift, understand that power is being exchanged because it's being taken. I don't think for a second, it looks very peaceful right now, but I don't think for a second that there isn't a war going on. And I'm not just talking about the war in Ukraine. Is just a cover up for some other bullshit. I mean, there's a war happening, especially on the U.S. grounds, globally, really, but I'm in America, so on U.S. grounds, and right now it's kind of a anything goes kind of situation. Something that oftentimes happened when a neighboring tribe would try to take over a town or a village or things like that is they start killing off a bunch of people, which has been happening. They would begin to uh take in new soldiers. That's been happening. The workforce is being shifted. Not only is the workforce being shifted, but this thing that's happening to us is kind of forcing people into different roles. And I'm pretty sure the military has grown since this whole thing happened. Um, and uh, in addition to that, something else that would happen is, sometimes women would become, the spoils of war. They would become, yeah, when all the shift is happening, the men would take advantage of the fact that these women are in extremely dire situations, and they would try to, just take advantage of them while they're in a really dire situation. You can actually look at what's happening literally in Ukraine right now. Like they're having Ukraine is kind of having a literal um, experience of what's going on figuratively, not really figuratively. Ukraine is having an explicit experience. The same thing happening in Ukraine is happening in the U.S., but it's just in Ukraine it's more explicit. Um, but but yeah. So back to the topic of sex and gang stalking. So when you're a woman and you're being gang stalked, and your handlers have taken some type of infatuation with you, something that you'll have is you'll basically be running into these situations where you have these men who know details about you that they otherwise really wouldn't know. And the reason why they know these details and all these different things is because they're just it's because they're trying to it's because they're it's all about manipulation. They're just trying to manipulate you into into being one of their spoils of war. They're just trying to manipulate you, and they're using everything that they know about you in order to do that. Now, for some people, like I know another girl who's being gang stalked, she's my sister and things like that. For some people, what's happening, for some women, the idea of just being like, okay, yeah, okay, fine, I'll be your spoil of war, like they're okay with that. But for some of us, like me, we just aren't that we're just not that compliant. um and some of the tactics that your handlers might use in order to make you more compliant is they will limit your access to money and make sure that they're the only source of, like, if you ask them for money, you're gonna get it, but you're not gonna get it through work. Nope, nope, nope. Maybe sex work, but you're not gonna be able to find a job. You're not gonna be able to actually sustain and support yourself. um, you're not going to be able to realistically support yourself. And if you are becoming in a place, or if you are getting to a place where you've actually gotten a decent job and you're able to support yourself financially and things like that, they'll do things to sabotage your efforts. Like for me and for many women, because the crime rates towards women have been skyrocketing ever since the pandemic began. And I know that specifically is because of the fact that they're trying to force women into copulating with males that they otherwise wouldn't be. They're just trying to. It's kind of like it's just a way to get women to browbeat women into compliance. That's all it really is. And that's the reason why the domestic violence rates have gone up. That's the reason why the amount of women doing sex work has gone up. That's the reason why all that shit has gone up. And it's because of the fact that there's this there is just a strong arm is being forced down on women because they need more it's just men in positions of power trying to have as many options as they can. Like there's just this real, like, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with these people, but that's all that's going on right now. And when you're a victim of gang stalking, you're a woman, like you're seriously dealing with all these guys trying to manipulate you into being with them. And oh my goodness, if you recognize what's happening and you're just like, no, I don't want this. I don't want to be manipulated into falling in love. I don't want to be manipulated into this or that. If you're that type of woman, like they will try to punish you for being non-compliant. It's just like the stupidest thing ever. Like, and they literally try to sit there and destroy your life. Like, I mean, absolutely destroy your life just because you don't want to fuck them, or just because you realize what's going on and you don't even want to be with them. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, fuck, like this world is just so trash. Like, once again, like I was saying before, in my previous video, it's like when you're a woman, it's just, you're just constantly being, it's just, there's no, it's just, there's no point at which people just act with any, it's just when you're a woman, you really don't understand the lengths that guys are willing to go to just just to get their dick wet. Like you really don't understand the lengths that these men are willing to go to just to say that they have a girl. Like it's just the most ridiculous shit ever. Um, and I was talking with my sister, who's also, going through this thing, and she's also another victim of the great reshuffling and stuff like that. And she is just, she's like super compliant with this. She's just like, oh, well, fine, I'm trying to find a man to save me because, if I don't, I'm gonna be crashing all this other bullshit. Like that's just kind of what's going on and what's happening right now. And she was talking to me about how, oh, you've got a reputation of being really difficult. And I'm like, fucking glad. I'm glad I do. Like, I'm so glad I do. Like, I'm so glad because I don't know. No, 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 no. Like, this is, like, I don't, it's just the most ridiculous shit ever that there's just, that people actually think this is okay. Like people actually think it's like I'm literally, when you're being a victim of gang stalking, like literally people are literally trying to fucking ruin my life just because I won't choose one of their dicks to, fuck for the rest of eternity. Like this is literally what's going on right now. Like literally, as a woman who's a victim of gang stalking and who has who has her harassers that are infatuated with her and things like that, like you're literally just going to be put through shit after shit. You're constantly going to deal with harassment. I literally had a guy on a train jerking off trying to come on me in fucking public. Like this is the type of shit I'm talking about. They're constantly going to put you through all these crazy things, all these violent situations, because before that it was actual physical violence. Like it's just, and they're just constantly trying to scare you into being with the guy. That's what it really comes down to. But the thing is, when that shit happens, these dudes aren't even, because at the time I was talking to this one guy and it's just like there's nothing about him that says protection. He's not a protector in any sense of the word at all. Like these dudes want to be like, this is what I mean by orchestrated and orchestrated chaos and and uh and social engineering. They're socially engineering these situations just to make you feel vulnerable and scared and all this other shit, and just to fuck with you and your life, which was just going just fucking fine, by the way. But they do all this shit, and it's just like, and it's just the most disgusting thing ever, because it's like you're sitting there, like my life was literally going just fine. Things were literally going just fine. And now what I have is a situation where I'm being isolated and targeted and harassed and all these other things and traumatized just so I'm weak enough for some fucking weak male who can't, who couldn't otherwise in normal circumstances get a chance with me. Like it's just the most stupidest thing ever. But that's only a portion of the abuse, to be honest. Like it's literally only a portion of it. But I just wanted to talk about the sexual aspect of gang stalking because this is a very real thing. Like, yeah, these dudes are seriously like they're gross. Like I remember reading in the Bible one time about these fallen angels. Not, I don't know if they're fallen, but somewhere in the beginning, I think it's in Genesis or something like that. And they were talking about the Nephilim, and the Nephilim were men who were men and women that were half human, half demigod or whatever. And that's because these angels or these creatures, these, I don't know, these spiritual beings had fallen in love with the some earth women. And it's just like I look at all of that shit in a form of like as a metaphor and things like that. But just when you have people in positions of power, like I just don't understand what happened to the old days where like the stories of fucking Cinderella and the prince or some shit like that. Like whatever happened to that? Why am I going through a situation where why is it now like they want to create all this destruction and create all this discord just so they can reshuffle things? Like, you don't even have to go through these links. Like, it's pretty, like, just the amount of social engineering that's going on right here, the amount of manipulation that's going on. And it's just like, I remember I was watching this one video on YouTube about the brides in Kyrgyzstan. Now, what they're doing now is mostly, for the most part, it's just, they're just doing it because of tradition, and before the events take place, they'll have discussed the matter. But in the video, they have these basically a girl would just be going about her day, and then her friends and family will set up a scenario where a guy that has taken an interest in her, basically they just set her up to be kidnapped. They set her up to be kidnapped in a car and taken to the dwelling place of the man, and she is forced to be there until she agrees to marry them, the man. And they'll have her there for days, she'll be crying, all this other shit. But yeah, she just randomly gets kidnapped, and then after, some time, she agrees. And this is kind of like gang stalking and social engineering and all this shit. Is this literally like the Western version of all of that? It's the Western version of these men trying to destabilize the lives of the women that they pick, just to, force them into being, their war spoil. It's just. In many ways, it's honestly depressing, because you sit there and because you know what the fuck is going on. Like, you know what's going on. And then you have this person trying to tell you that I love you, blah, 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 and all this other shit. And it's just like, how could you possibly love me when you're not even willing to properly court, to when you're willing to in order to get me, you're trying to destroy my life and everything that I value, and trying to throw me off my course, and trying to limit the just trying to limit the branches that I can. Like, this is fucking coercion. This is love. Like, it's fucking unreal. Like, it's unrealistic. Like, just when things, because with gang stalking, like, it's fucking annoying enough as it is. But then to have that shit in your romantic life, it's fucking depressing. And it's just like, it'll never end. Like, and it's just like, don't get me wrong. Like, and it's just, like, I can't even, oh my God. Like, I sit there and I'll watch these movies about all this shit that's going on. I'll sit there and I'll listen to these stories, and it's just like the same shit that's happening in these third world countries is happening here, but it's just in a different way. It's just in a neater way, in a more psychological way. And let you be too smart for that shit, and then it's like, oh man, she needs to be eliminated. And so it's like, and it's just like, how could someone possibly love you if they're willing to lie this much, just to be with you? Like, I'm sorry, but no, like, someone who actually loves you, like, they're just going to reach a point of just honesty with you. And I've never had that from any of the guys that have tried courting me. Like, none of that. There's never any honesty about what the fuck is going on, and about why it is that they know these specific details about me. Even I don't post online. I don't have I don't do any of that shit. And then not only that, but then I have my family in on that shit too. Like, it literally, like, sometimes I sit there and I watch those Brides of Kyrgyzstan videos, and I'm just like, holy shit, like, like, because I know my family's in on my gang stalking harassment. I know that these guys that have been approaching me have been in on it. Like, I know it all, and it's just, once again, it's just depressing. It's depressing. It's like, because I had so much going for me in my life, You have your own dreams, you have your own wishes, you have your own goals and things like that. And just because someone wants to just because someone wants to fuck you, they'll sit there and just ruin everything you got going on for yourself just so that you're dependent on them. Like, that's not love. That's literally abuse. That's literally fucking. That's. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. And then you're faced with that decision. It's just like, you're like this captured fucking. You're like this captured thing, and I used to watch these Disney princess movies when I was younger. Still do. I fucking love Disney. But I remember I was watching Mulan, and and the princesses, they were just like, they were just the three princesses in Mulan, the second one, I believe. Or no, it's the first. I don't know. But they have the song, I want to be like other girls. Up the tree like other, that whole thing. It just wants to be free like other girls. And I remember watching that, and I remember sitting there thinking to myself, man, I sure am thankful to be another girl, just a regular other girl. But that's just not the way life works. But what I don't even fucking understand. Like, I really, like, it's just the most ridiculous shit in the world. All I know is that shit is fantasy. Like, that's honestly what I've been going through with life. Like, that shit is all fucking fantasy. It's just a fucking cartoon. And don't get me wrong, it's cute and all, but no one wants that shit in their real life. Like, that, I don't. Every girl dreams about, some Prince Charming coming to save her, but I don't really no, I don't want nobody saving me. I want to be able to save myself and then choose my partner because I'm in a good place and I'm in good standing, and it's not out of desperation or it's not out of all this other shit, but it's literally like when you're a woman and you're a victim of gang stalking, your harassers have become infatuated with you. It's like they'll literally try to limit you in every fucking opportunity. They'll limit you socially, limit you economically, limit you in all these different areas, and it's just all just so that they can come into your life and be the best thing since sliced fucking bread. And it's just like, you fucked up my life just so you can fuck me? Like, do you hear that shit? Like, and that's the reality of it. And it's just like, I remember I was watching the last movie I watched was The Northman. And in The Northman, it was a movie about Vikings, of course, Vikings and all that other good shit. And there's this queen in the movie, and she has a son with who's like a prince and they're a king and all that stuff, and she's a queen. And the brother of the king kills the king, and he goes to try to kill the boy, but ultimately that doesn't happen. And he winds up taking the king's queen to be his queen, to be his wife. And the son, he sees this happen. He sees his mother get taken. He sees his father get killed, and he runs away. And he grows up and he becomes a man, and he promises to avenge his father and to save his mother and to kill his father's brother. That's his driving thing, is vengeance. And so he winds up getting to the point where he reaches his mother and he reveals his true identity to her. And she's just like, leave and never come back, And of course to him, he's like, what the fuck, mom? I'm here to save you. Like, this man killed your brother and you're a victim. And she's like, I ain't no victim. I wanted this shit. Matter of fact, I helped him plan to kill your father. Just so you know, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the movie, spoiler alert. And he's like, what on earth? Like, what do you mean, mom? And she's just like, I hated your father. I was a woman from another village. Your father came to that village, destroyed my village, and then took me as his war spoil. And then upon taking me for his war spoil, Um, and then upon that happening, um, I had to be his queen. Like I didn't want this. I would just, and then she reveals this mark on her that showed that she was once a slave, but because all slaves get branded and she has her own branding and she's like, yeah, I told you that I was a princess from so and so, but actually I'm a slave, and your father just took me, and that was that, and I hated him. I hated him. I hated him. I hated him. And you are a product of rape and hatred, and I don't really, I love you and I cherish you, but at the end of the day, um, I wanted to get away from him and his brother, prevent that opportunity, and it was just, I say all that to say that I get that chick, like I fucking get that bitch, like because it's like I remember I was watching that movie and I was like, damn, this, oh, what? Like it was just such a big plot twist. But then I was thinking to myself, like, you know how traumatizing it is to have a life and then to just have it taken from you, and all because some guy just decided he wants to. It doesn't matter how humble your life was, at the end of the day it was yours. But then some guy with more power and authority, with greater access to resources, just decides, I want you. And I'm just gonna uproot your life, and that'll be that. And it's just demoralizing. Like it's like, and then you're branded as difficult, you're branded as this, you're branded as that, just because you don't want to be a spoil of war. And it's just like, and then they try to make it seem like I want you to choose me by they try to make it seem like they're giving you options, like as if you have some choice in the matter. And it's like, what where's the choice when you've destroyed my life and my income, my everything, and have all these things happening to me which never happened before, and then you have all these intimate details. Like there's really no choice here. Like it's really not even that. but but such is the life of but yeah, such is the life of women under patriarchal rule. This is just kind of what it happens. Feminists have always spoken about this. This is just this is just kind of is what it is. Everything that's happening in these third world countries, the just like how when like I said, once again, this is all just reshuffling of power. You know what happened when the Taliban, when Bush, not Bush, whatever his name is, fucking President Brandon pulled out of Iraq. You want to know what? Not pulled out of Iraq, pulled out of Iran, whatever that fuck that eastern country was. You want to know what happened? Taliban took over in less than 24 hours, and now all those women who had modern lives, who had hopes and goals and aspirations, now it's all just taken away. And what's happening right now, like everyone's talking about this, that, and the end of the world and all this other bullshit. Ain't no fucking end of the world. What it is it's just the patriarchal stronghold, strong arming women. And this is what's happening in the West right now. Strong women are being strong armed, and successful women are being strong armed, and they're just trying to they're just trying to make sure that there's absolutely no place on this globe where women are banding together and actually able to assume positions of authority, and create a world where we don't have to deal with being we don't have to ever have to deal with becoming spoils of war again. We don't ever have to deal with this unequal footing that we have in this on this globe. But know that of course guys aren't going to let that shit, like they're just not going to let that shit go without a fight. And unfortunately, I guess they do this every so often whenever civilization is getting too advanced, or whenever women are getting into positions of authority a little too, whenever too many of them are, it's just they can't have that shit. They admire you because of your smarts. They admire you because of your wit. They admire you because of your strength. And because they admire that shit in you, they want to take it all away. They got to take it all away just so that they can. It's just the most sickest shit ever. But but this is just some shit you're gonna have to deal with when you're a woman who's a victim of gang stalking. And honestly, just being a woman on a patriarchal globe, like this is just how the system is set up. It's set up so that they can limit your access to just limit you. It's just all about cutting you short. And that's not love. That's ownership. But that's all. But that's the world we live in. It's honestly the world we live in. And honestly, if you're a woman who's, just decided, you're just going to give up or whatever and just comply, like, I really don't blame you. Like, I used to sit there and look at those stories of, even not even too long ago, like we sit there and look at, like the 1400s, but honestly, even with slavery and things like that, and how, so many African American women were victims of rape and things like during that situation. And it's just like the same person beating you and was making you subhuman is now the person fucking, like, it's just and it's just like sometimes like people will sit there and joke like, oh, that couldn't be me, and it's just like, bitch. And it's just, I see my sister going through that situation, and I don't even blame her. I don't blame her for just choosing to be compliant, for just choosing to try to latch on to a man and things like that. I really don't blame her. I don't blame a lot of women for just choosing to latch on to the nearest male. But unfortunately, I'm a daughter of Artemis. She was my favorite. It's just the most. It's just when you're a woman who's very self-sufficient, very just when you're your own woman, when you're the main character, of your life, when you aren't living your life for a man, when you're not living your life to please anyone but yourself, not even just yourself, because honestly, I'm not like some self-absorbed, yeah, I'm just not, just living this life for myself or anything like that. It's just at the end of the day, though, like as a woman, you really have to deal with. You just have to deal with. But I feel like for women that have always had dreams of being the some man's helpmeet, you know, it's easy to comply. It's easy to just fall in line. But when you're a woman who, like I said, I was like 10, 11, 12, you know, infatuated with the tales of Artemis. I was I was 13, 14 dancing to, you know, dancing to No Doubt and dancing to her I'm Just a Girl by No Doubt, like I was I wasn't I was always my own person, and but on this earth, the patriarchal strong arm, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter when society starts to go to shit and all these other things, and when some man with greater power and authority decides he wants to fuck up your life so that you can fall in his arms, that's just, it just is what it is. And I don't blame women for being compliant and things like that, but it's just, I really feel for you women out there that are also daughters of Bartimaeus. I really feel for you women out there that are also just your own women, you know? I really feel for just those independent, strong, smart, brilliant, creative, interesting women. Like I really feel for you guys because I know just how painful it is to just have everything just kind of taken away from you just because some dude came infatuated you and decided he want to fuck up your shit just so he could fuck you. Like I swear to God. But anyways, um, just yeah, I get that, ladies. And yeah, this is just an aspect of gang stalking that you're just gonna have to deal with, and deal with it how you choose. You know, it's all about how you decide to deal with it. I've made um, I've made my decisions on how I'm gonna deal with it, and it's just yeah, you gotta just decide how you want to deal with it.